Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Wherever you are and however you're doing, buckle up, because today we're going to talk about something that could flip your whole life around like a pancake on a hot griddle. Here's the title of today's message: Don't wait to change your life. Now listen, some people are waiting for the perfect moment to start living. They say, I'll chase my dreams once the kids are grown. I'll start that business when the economy gets better. I'll get in shape right after this last donut. And that last donut has been the last donut. For the last 9 years, we've got to stop waiting for life to roll out a red carpet before we start walking into our destiny. Life doesn't come with red carpets. It comes with potholes, detours, flat tires, and sometimes a GPS that keeps saying, recalculating. But that's okay, because change doesn't need perfection. It just needs decision. Change begins when you decide. You don't need permission to change. You don't need everybody to agree with you. You don't even need to be fully ready. You just need to decide. When I was younger, people used to tell me, you've got potential. I thought that was a compliment until I realized potential is just what you could be, not what you are. Potential is like a parked car. It's nice to look at, but it won't take you anywhere until you turn the key and press the gas. Don't wait until everything's perfect. If you wait until you know everything, you'll never do anything. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time, right now. Excuses are dream killers. Let me ask you a question. How many of you have ever told yourself, I'm too old to change? Come on, be honest. Age doesn't stop dreams. Doubt does. Some people say, well, I'm just too young, too broke, too busy, too tired, too unlucky. Listen, if excuses could burn calories, some of us would be supermodels by now. Excuses are like rocking chairs. They give you something to do, but they don't take you anywhere. I know people who spend more time building excuses than they do building their future. They've got blueprints for excuses, floor plans for procrastination, and skyscrapers made out of, I'll do it tomorrow. But here's the truth: tomorrow is not promised. If you want to change your life, you've got to do it today, messy, scared, uncertain, but moving. The fear factor, let's talk about fear for a second. Fear is the bodyguard of your comfort zone. It stands at the door with sunglasses on, arms crossed, saying, nope, nope, you can't come in. Fear will whisper, what if you fail? What if you look silly? What if people laugh at you? Here's what I say. What if you succeed? What if you discover something inside you that blows your own mind? People will laugh at you anyway. That's their cardio. Let them laugh. While they're laughing, you'll be living. Change requires effort and a sense of humor. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. Changing your life takes effort. You might have to stay up late, get up early, read books, take classes, say no to distractions, and yes, put down the phone and stop scrolling like you're being paid per thumb swipe. But let's add some humor here, because if you don't laugh on the way to your dreams, you'll cry. One time I tried jogging to change my life, made it halfway down the block, and my body said, listen, if you keep this up, we're going to call the authorities. But I got up the next day and tried again. Why? Because success doesn't come to the fastest, the smartest, or the luckiest. It comes to the person who refuses to quit, the person who gets back up again and again and again. Surround yourself with possibility thinkers. You can't soar with eagles if you're hanging out with chickens. Some of your friends mean well, but they're allergic to change. If you tell them your dream, they'll look at you like you just said you want to move to the moon and open a taco stand. Find people who believe in possibility, who clap when you win, who push you when you stall. You need people who don't just tolerate your growth. They expect it, because environment shapes energy. If you stay in a place where everybody's complaining, you'll start complaining. But if you get around people who are climbing, you'll start climbing too. Write your new chapter. Your past is not a prison sentence. It's a classroom. Take the lessons, not the labels. Maybe you failed. Maybe you've been rejected. Maybe you've made mistakes so big they've got their own zip code. So what? Every champion you admire has a highlight reel and a blooper reel. You don't get the crown without crawling through the mud. Stop rereading the sad chapter of your life and start writing the comeback story. Don't wait. Dominate. So let me leave you with this. Stop waiting for permission. Stop waiting for perfect timing. Stop waiting for everyone to clap. Start before you're ready. Start when you're scared. Start with shaky hands, knocking knees, and a nervous laugh. Start with a whisper if you can't start with a roar. Because nothing changes until you do. You are more powerful than your past. You are stronger than your excuses. And your future is waiting for you like a kid on Christmas morning saying, "Are you ready yet?" So get up, move, take the step, do the thing, chase the dream, live the life. Because if you don't, 10 years from now, you'll be sitting on a couch eating potato chips, watching someone else live your dream on TV and thinking, "I could have done that." But if you do, 10 years from now, you'll be standing on a stage telling your story, and someone in the audience will whisper, "If they can do it, so can I." And that, my friends, is how you change your life. Don't wait. Do it now. Start before you're ready. That simple phrase sounds reckless, even irresponsible, but it is the secret behind every breakthrough. Most people wait for the perfect moment, the right alignment of stars, the green lights all the way down the road before they move. But life doesn't work like that. The lights don't all turn green at once. The perfect moment rarely arrives wrapped in shiny paper with a note saying, "No is the time." If you keep waiting until you feel completely ready, you will still be waiting a decade from now, holding on to dreams that are growing dusty. The truth is, readiness is an illusion. No one starts at the top of the mountain. They start at the bottom with trembling legs and racing hearts. They start unsure, unpolished, and often misunderstood. People think they need to gather more information, collect more resources, get more experience, or wait for more confidence before they begin. But confidence is not a prerequisite. It is a byproduct of action. You don't gain it by standing still. You build it by moving, even if the steps are clumsy. Think about a baby learning to walk. That child doesn't wait until they have read 5 books on walking, hired a coach, or joined a future walkers support group. They wobble, they fall, they bump their heads, and they get back up again. It is messy, imperfect, and beautiful. If adults approach their dreams with that same innocent determination, more of them would reach their goals. Somewhere along the line, though, many of us traded our willingness to try for the false safety of waiting. Starting before you're ready is an act of courage. It is declaring that your dream matters more than your fear. It is accepting that mistakes will come and choosing to move anyway. Every expert you admire once stood at the beginning, overwhelmed and underprepared, trying to figure it out one uncertain step at a time. They did not wait until they were ready. They stepped forward while their voices trembled and their knees knocked. There will always be reasons to delay. The timing won't feel right. The money might be short. The plan might be incomplete. People around you might say it's too soon or too risky, but the clock keeps ticking while you hesitate, and life has a way of moving on without your permission. The window of opportunity does not always stay open until you feel comfortable. Often, it opens just long enough for the bold to jump through. When you start before you're ready, You activate a different part of yourself, the resourceful, determined, problem-solving version that only shows up under pressure. Waiting keeps you in preparation mode. Starting forces you into growth mode. Suddenly you discover ideas, strengths, and solutions you didn't know you had because necessity pulls them out of you. You become sharper because you have to. You become braver because you must. That is how transformation happens. Preparation has its place, but too much of it becomes procrastination dressed in a business suit. There is a point where more planning no longer adds value. It only delays progress. At some point, you must leap. You must put your dream on the calendar, not the wish list. You must move with what you have, trusting that more will come as you go. Momentum creates clarity. Motion breeds motivation. The path becomes clearer under your feet, not before you take the first step. Excuses change nothing. Action changes everything. Excuses are comforting because they protect us from the discomfort of risk. They give us a reason to stay where we are, wrapped up in the familiar, even when the familiar is unfulfilling. People tell themselves they will start when they have more time, more money, more knowledge, more support, and those reasons sound logical enough to soothe their conscience. But logic does not build dreams. Movement does. An excuse might silence your guilt for a moment, but it will not move your life forward even an inch. Every excuse you hold on to becomes a brick in a wall between you and the life you want. Over time, that wall grows taller and thicker until you can no longer see the possibilities beyond it. You tell yourself the wall is just reality, when in truth it is something you built with your own words and thoughts. Action is the hammer that breaks through it. One decisive step can do more to change your circumstances than 1,000 perfectly worded reasons for why you can't. Excuses disguise themselves as protection. They say things like, I'm just being realistic, or I don't want to fail, or I need to be responsible. But what they really mean is, I'm scared, and fear is never a good guide. Fear wants comfort, not growth. Action doesn't wait for fear to disappear. It marches forward with fear tagging along, trembling but present. The people who create change in their lives are not fearless. They are simply willing to move while afraid. When you act, even if the action is small, you shift the energy around your life. You send a signal to yourself and the world that you are no longer content with stagnation. Action disrupts the pattern of hesitation that has been looping in your mind. It builds momentum, and momentum is what creates breakthroughs. Excuses keep you rooted in place, but action plants you on a moving train heading toward possibility. There will always be a reason to wait. There will always be something that isn't quite aligned, some missing resource, some lingering doubt. If you allow those things to dictate your choices, you will stay stuck. The perfect time does not appear. It is created through motion. When you begin, doors open that were invisible while you were standing still. Opportunities rarely introduce themselves to people who are waiting. They chase down the ones who are moving. Action creates clarity. Many people believe they must figure everything out before they begin. But clarity lives on the other side of action. You learn what works and what doesn't by doing, not by overthinking. You discover what you are capable of by testing your limits, not by imagining them. Excuses promise safety, but they deliver regret. Action demands effort, but it delivers transformation. Every goal, every dream, every success story is rooted in action. Someone got tired of repeating the same reasons and decided to move anyway. They were not guaranteed results, but they were guaranteed growth. And growth always leads somewhere better. Excuses preserve your current reality. Action reshapes it. The choice is not between comfort and effort. It is between staying the same and becoming who you could be. Fear is loud, but your purpose is louder. Fear has a powerful voice, and it speaks fluently in the language of doubt. It whispers worst case scenarios, amplifies every insecurity, and convinces you that standing still is safer than stepping forward. It can make even the most capable person question their worth, their talent, and their right to chase something bigger. Fear is persuasive because it always shows up dressed as logic, telling you it is just trying to protect you from disappointment or embarrassment. But protection is not its mission. Its mission is to keep you small. Purpose, on the other hand, does not always shout. Sometimes it begins as a quiet tug in your heart, a persistent thought you cannot shake, a vision of the life you know you were meant to live. While fear yells in your ear, purpose hums in your soul. It does not use threats. It uses longing. It does not try to scare you into safety. It tries to call you into growth. The trouble is that fear is immediate and loud, while purpose is steady and patient. Most people obey the loud voice because they assume volume equals truth. But fear only gets loud when you are standing on the edge of something meaningful. Its noise is not a warning to stop. It is a sign that you are getting close. Fear magnifies the cost of action while hiding the cost of inaction. It tells you what you might lose if you try and fail, but stays silent about what you will lose if you never try at all. It paints pictures of rejection and ridicule, but it never shows the emptiness that comes from ignoring your calling. Purpose sees that emptiness. Purpose knows that the ache of an unfulfilled life will echo louder than any temporary fear. The discomfort of growth fades, but the regret of staying silent grows heavier with time. When you let purpose speak louder, everything shifts. You stop asking, what if I fail? And start asking, what if I never find out what I'm capable of? You stop looking for reasons to retreat and start searching for ways to advance. Purpose has a way of igniting courage you did not know you had. It reminds you why you started, why it matters, and who you could impact if you refuse to quit. Fear makes you focus on yourself and what might go wrong. Purpose makes you focus on the world and what could go right. Fear will always try to get the first word, but it does not have to get the last one. It thrives in silence, but it loses its power in motion. Every time you take a step in alignment with your purpose, you lower the volume on fear's voice. It may still chatter in the background, but it no longer drives the decisions. Purpose takes the wheel, and fear becomes just another passenger you nod at without obeying. That is how people who once felt terrified end up doing things that inspire others. They stop giving fear the microphone. Fear can shake your hands and quicken your pulse, but it cannot erase the reason you were placed here. It can stall your steps, but it cannot extinguish what burns in your heart. Your purpose will always be stronger than your doubt if you allow it to be louder. It is the part of you that remembers who you are when fear tries to make you forget. It is the part that pushes through trembling, through criticism, through uncertainty and says, go anyway. Surround yourself with people who push you higher. The people around you act like mirrors, reflecting back what you believe is possible. If you spend your time with those who constantly complain, doubt, and settle, their mindset will seep into your thinking until you begin lowering your own expectations to match theirs. Energy is contagious, and so is mediocrity. You can have the most brilliant dream, but if you keep it planted in soil that is toxic with negativity, it will never grow. The voices closest to you matter because they either water your ambition or poison it without even meaning to. When you are trying to change your life, you need people who see beyond your current circumstances and speak to your potential. They are the ones who will challenge you when you get comfortable, who will remind you of your vision when you start to forget why you began, who will pull you forward when you feel like standing still. They will not let you hide behind excuses because they know you are capable of more. Being around people like this can be uncomfortable at first because they do not let you settle. But that discomfort is the birthplace of growth. Many people stay stuck because they are loyal to circles that do not stretch them. They fear outgrowing relationships, so they shrink their dreams to fit. They laugh at small jokes instead of chasing big goals. They avoid sharing their ideas because they know the response will be sarcasm, not support. That kind of environment drains drive. You start thinking it is safer to blend in than to stand out, safer to be accepted for who you are not than rejected for who you want to become. But belonging means nothing if it costs you your becoming. Being selective with your circle is not arrogance. It is alignment. You cannot rise if you are surrounded by anchors. The company you keep should lift your thinking, not limit it. They should make you question your excuses, not validate them. They should celebrate your wins, not secretly resent them. When you achieve something and your circle claps loudly, not out of obligation, but out of genuine belief in you, it fuels you to reach for more. That energy creates momentum that is impossible to generate alone. Seek out people who are ahead of you in some way, not to compare, but to be inspired. Watch how they think, how they work, how they handle failure, how they keep going when things get hard. Their habits will challenge your habits. Their belief will challenge your doubts. Proximity to greatness rewires what you think is normal. What once felt impossible begins to feel inevitable when you see others living it. That shift in belief is powerful because it gives you permission to rise. You do not have to cut everyone off to elevate your environment, but you must be intentional about who gets the most access to your energy. Not everyone deserves a front row seat to your journey. Some people are better loved from a distance so you can love your future up close. Protect your vision by placing it in the presence of people who nurture it. Surround yourself with those who speak possibility, not limitation, who see the future in your eyes, even when you can only see the struggle in your reflection. Your past is a lesson, not a life sentence. Too many people carry their past like a backpack filled with bricks, dragging it through every new opportunity until the weight convinces them they are not capable of rising. They replay old mistakes like broken records, analyzing where they went wrong as if reliving the pain could undo it. But the past is not meant to be a prison. It is meant to be a classroom. Its purpose is to teach, not to trap. The fact that you survived it means it has already served its purpose. And now it is your job to extract the wisdom and leave the shame behind. Every misstep, every heartbreak, every failure carries information about who you were and what you needed to learn, not who you are destined to remain. Growth requires perspective. If you stare at the past long enough, it will distort your vision of what is possible. You begin to see your future as just a repeat of your history. And that belief alone can stop you from even trying. But your story is not over just because one chapter was painful. The same person who made mistakes is also the person who learned from them. And that makes you stronger, not broken. People will sometimes try to define you by your worst moments because they only see the surface. They do not see the quiet battles you fought afterward or the strength it took to get back up. They might hold on to an old version of you, but you are not required to live there. Their memory is not your identity. You are allowed to outgrow the labels, the reputations, and the expectations that were built from who you used to be. The moment you stop arguing with your past and start using it as a resource, everything shifts. Your past can be a powerful motivator if you let it fuel you instead of freeze you. Let the pain remind you what you never want to feel again, not what you are doomed to repeat. Let the disappointment sharpen your focus instead of dull your drive. Lessons are like tools. You carry them forward to build something better, but you do not live inside the toolbox. When you start seeing your past as raw material instead of a verdict, you take back your power. The most inspiring success stories are born from people who refuse to let their history decide their destiny. They had every reason to quit, every excuse to stay small, and they chose to rise anyway. What they understood is that the past only has the power you continue to give it. If you keep feeding it attention, it will keep growing in influence. But if you acknowledge it, learn from it, and then focus forward, it begins to shrink behind you. Forgiving yourself is a part of that process. You cannot build a future while still punishing yourself for the past. You were doing the best you could with what you knew at the time. Now you know more, and knowing more means you can do better. That is the gift of the past. It teaches you what not to repeat. You are not the same person who made those choices because experience has reshaped you. The scars prove you healed, not that you are still wounded.